I guess as we continue our wrestling game foray there, so I guess it makes sense to move into our wrestling game conversation that we've been having the last few weeks, where we've gone through the 16-bit era, the 32-bit era of wrestling games when games went 3D. So I guess this is as wrestling games went 3D continued, part 2. So 64 and the 128 era, the 6th and I guess 7th generation of wrestling games. So, dude, what stands out for you, man? When did that generation of wrestling games come to your mind, or came to your console?
You see, it was during this time period, for me, it was more the PlayStation. It was all about the SmackDown games. The Raw games on the Xbox just didn't cut it, and I can't say I really played the GameCube versions, the WrestleManias and the Day of Reckoning. I can't say I think I played a couple of matches, but it just didn't feel right, especially after SmackDown at that time. SmackDown was so fast, smooth, fluent. It was just a blast.
Yeah, it was good fun to play. So I guess we came out of in the previous episode. So in the 32-bit generation, I guess kind of rocking over to 64-bit of the 5th generation, you had THQ, EA, Acclaim, all holding a different license. In this era, all the competition is gone. There's only WE. So what it seemed to happen is that THQ went, "Well, I know what we'll do. We'll put a different dev team on a different console and then make a different series of games." It's like you said there, the SmackDown series by Yuke's in Japan. They were making the SmackDown series as well as its Japan equivalent, which is called Tetsudoko Budokan. And you also had the Raw games that came out on the Xbox, and then on the GameCube there was the WrestleMania series, which then became the Day of Reckoning series, and you had completely different types of wrestling games on the same era of generation of consoles. So like you said there,
I've got to say, it was a bold move to completely go with three different sets of wrestling games instead of just porting it over to the different consoles. That's bold.
yeah, because you know that that for that generation are exclusive. So that means if you didn't have all three consoles, you didn't get to play all that generation's wrestling games.
No, and that was the thing. I did have Raw because I did have the Xbox.
Yes, I think you had it for completionist
It
sake, but it was
just
shit.
it just didn't click with me. It just didn't feel right. But like I said, SmackDown was already established,
Yes,
and it was already what by the time Raw came out, it was already on its 6th or 7th edition.
yeah. So
SmackDown.
then 3, I would say, came out. It was the first PlayStation 2 title.
What's it? Sorry.
I think SmackDown 3 was its first PlayStation 2 title. I think.
It was just Bring It. So yes,
Yeah,
SmackDown 3.
SmackDown 3. I guess
Which was the awful one.
yeah, it wasn't. It's the one that perhaps. Um, that's actually the first time they had the full entrance ways, where they had the characters
Yeah,
actually do the full walk and so on. But the maths
and
were all missing.
they did the freedom thing, and what you did meant who you wrestled and who you unlocked. But the entire storyline mode was 3 matches, you're done.
Yeah, that's right. That was it for you. Your Raw, your SmackDown, 3 matches every time, done week after week.
And I actually do believe this as well. They spent more time on the 3D video package to put at the beginning of the game than they did on in-game options and modes.
Yeah, because I think it was missing modes that were in SmackDown 2, wasn't it? It had lost
It
the casket
missed
match.
so
It lost
much.
I think it had the TLC. I think that's a standard that time. Um, and what else did it lose? I think the cage became the Hell in a Cell, didn't it? Or was it still the 9 grid?
No, I don't think it was for another game before it was the proper Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, 'cause I seem to think was it Here Comes the Pain was the first one to have the full size Hell in a Cell, which
Yeah, I
is
think that came with Slobberknocker as well.
that's it. The Snubberknocker mention. And every time we saw 3 stages of hell, we kept thinking, "Oh my god, it's the WCW cage." No, it isn't. No, no. Yeah, SmackDown 3, I guess, is a bit forgetful. SmackDown 4, which was Shut Your Mouth. I think that's actually where the gameplay slowed down a bit, became a bit more simulation based,
Yeah, I think you're right.
when it appeared to be getting it right.
Just bring it, shut your mouth. I think Shut Your Mouth, or was it? I can't remember which. I think it was Shut Your Mouth that actually had one of the best rosters. It had so many champions. Just looking over it now, I mean, you had so many guys that had already been or about to be breakout stars. I mean, it was quite a stacked roster. Steve Austin, Ken Shamrock was Rick Flair, Raven, Randy Orton, although it was his like super early debut days where he was using that overdrive finisher.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle, Kevin Nash, Kane. So it was an odd title because you had Hogan in there as well, and he wouldn't appear in it for a few games.
Was Hogan still in there as like that Captain America style gimmick he had?
Oh, that Mr. America thing.
Yeah.
I don't think they put him in as that character. Not that I remember, anyway.
I consider I have the game over there. I might actually have to go put it on and find out. But yeah, then and Here Comes the Pain, which I think was my favourite one of that era. The gameplay got a bit faster. It was the resolution of the characters got better, and the tables were destructible from the outside. So if you did a move like the F5, I got a little clip where and you could do male and female matches, because I've got a clip where I'm Brock Lesnar and I fight Victoria and do the F5, and it kind of glitches her face on the edge of the announce table and it breaks through. It's sweet as fun. Okay.
You know what? I was mistaken. It's Here Comes the Pain that's got the best roster. It's got the Undertaker in there. Goldberg is in there. That's where you got Brock Lesnar in there. You've got the Dudleys, Jericho, Christian, Eddie Guerrero, Edge. Got Hurricane there. John Cena's there. It's John Cena's first outing. Of course, Kane's in there. Kevin Nash is there. Kurt Angle, Randy Orton, who's a
Is this the
little
one
bit
actually
more
that's got
legend killer there.
the NWO is it storyline mode?
I don't know if Scott Hall made it there, because by that time he'd been that much of a cult.
But they'd swapped him out. They'd swapped him out for X-Pac.
Yeah.
The storyline mode. It was X-Pac there. It's like no, even the videos that had Kevin Nash, but had Scott Hall rather. But hey, that was some good days, man. That was good days of gaming.
That can stop me.
You and me, bra and panties match right now.
I win.
No, Brock, we all win. SmackDown, here comes the pain.
So then, of course, I guess that generation also introduced us to SmackDown versus Raw. What was that?
Yes. The following year was.
Yeah, because that's when the roster split happened for the first time. No, the second time round, I guess. And in game it had like Ric Flair as the owner of Raw, and you had, I think, Vince or Shane as the owner of SmackDown.
Vince is SmackDown.
Yeah. And the whole storyline mode was based around that, and you could then, I think that was the first one where you had the championship manager style stuff, where you could actually dedicatedly split your roster for your Raw and your SmackDown guys, and you could run shows and promote like shows and events night by night of the booking effectively. And I think for a lot of people that's actually their most popular one. I'm aware that over on Up Up Down Down, which is the YouTube show done by Kofi Kingston and the guys of the New Day, they literally have a dedicated episode every week where they're playing SmackDown versus Raw 06. But so we take a big step back then. So on that, so that's kind of your SmackDown 06 up to SmackDown 06, I guess. But like you said, on the other consoles, on the Xbox, there was Raw and Raw 2. And I don't think there was any other Xbox titles with all wrestling based, were there?
No, Xbox was severely lacking in wrestling games, no matter where they were from.
Wait, no. Legends of Wrestling came out.
That doesn't count because that was awful.
Legends of Wrestling front cover had Big Daddy and Rob Van Dam on the front cover. If you're a wrestling fan.
And that's where the goodness ended.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually think Kevin Shamrock made it into that game, off the top of my head. Yeah.
If I was him, it would be nothing I'd be bragging about.
Macho Man, I think Sabu's in there as well. Yeah, it was a
Yes,
mix
I
match. Yeah, it was a mix of lots of different guys. But yeah, so what was wrong with Raw? Where did Raw go wrong? Because it looked beautiful compared to Raw and SmackDown. So SmackDown on the PlayStation, Raw's Xbox version of WWE Raw actually looked really good. But then that's where it ended because the gameplay was absolutely shoddy.
It looked good, but it felt clunky. It didn't have that smoothness that SmackDown had. SmackDown from day one was quick and smooth.
We had fighting game mechanics
This
effectively,
felt-
didn't it? So
Yes, yeah. And this felt very clunky. It was very like, I shall do a move and you shall take it.
grapple.
And now we shall reset to our usual stance, and then we will move into the next stance of movement or grab.
Yeah. So
Punch.
and it was very much like the 2002 roster of WE. But it was even smaller than that. It was a very small roster. I don't even think it was 16 guys.
And that, to be honest, it was quite forgettable.
But it is. Just Incredible is in the game.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, Just Incredible made his way into WE Raw or WF Raw. And then Raw 2 came along, which was better. It added matches in the beyond single and tag matches, because a ladder match came up in there.
What I do remember about Raw 2 was they tried to make it so there was kind of generic storylines that any character could fit into.
That's
But
right.
yet still, it was a little bit shoddy. I mean, I remember someone playing as Booker T and was going through a back room and something fell next to him. It was like, who was that? Who could have done that? Who tried to hurt Booker T?
You know, I'm kind of getting vague memories just coming back, and because I did play through Raw 2 story, and that's right because it had a championship manager style before SmackDown did, where you could technically book Raw, book SmackDown, and so on. And you could kind of interfere in matches, and what that interference usually was a guy walking in the back, and you'd drop a box on them, and then it'd be like you'd fight them in the main event. You know, you didn't go out there and hit them with a guitar or anything. No, you just dropped a box on their head, and they were like, "Oh no, who hit me?"
All the plot thickens. It's kind of like an NXT storyline right now. Who murdered Aleister Black while injured?
I think it'll be Cassius Ohno, but hey, that's what I think anyway.
If they did something with Cassius Ohno, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be him.
And then they'd probably do something with him, they'd send him to the main roster, job him, and then he'd probably quit.
I do think he's got more of a wrestling trainer role actually on NXT. So I don't think he's necessarily a competing wrestler. I think he's just doing his thing in the back, the training wise.
Yeah, they've not really used him. But then again, they wanted to do that with Rhino, and then they sent him up to the main roster.
Yeah, they
but
put
then
him-
again, they needed to bolster the rosters when they split them again.
Yeah, you team with Heath Slater, and then their tag team is over. It really is. They're doing really well.
Yeah,
So-
for about 10 minutes. It was
Yeah.
B team.
Beating.
Yeah.
So that was.
B team.
So I'm just thinking about the Raw. So they had Raw, had the SmackDowns. So on the GameCube, it had something completely different. It had like its own titles, didn't it? It had X8, which was WrestleMania X8. That was pretty solid as a game. I don't recall it being bad. I recall it being quite experimental and being very different to Raw and being different to SmackDown. It was certainly much slower kind of simulation paced. It felt like a fighting game style.
It felt to me that they tried to emulate No Mercy.
Yeah, they had like the hard grapple system, so you could press and hold a button, and you kind of went, bruh, and you grab someone. Yeah, that was right. And then 19 was again it kind of expanded upon that. Was it actually called X9? Or
It was XIX 19.
yeah, that's right. And I guess that whole storyline focused around going from a year to a year as a new guy coming in to becoming the world champion at WrestleMania the year after. Yeah, that's a fair, competent story. But in terms of the mechanics, though, I don't recall enough of it. I guess again it followed on from 18. I think wasn't 18 and 19 the first time we saw Rob Van Dam in the game? Was he that?
That's right. The
Yeah, wasn't
Yeah,
that
fine.
where Rob Van Dam actually made his game debut for WWE, wasn't it? In X8.
X8 for the GameCube, definitely, because at the time it was round about the time when Austin had his huge fallout with the WWE, because Austin was on the cover of that game and he was replaced with Rob Van Dam,
Yeah, that's right.
if I remember correctly.
Because it's I do think it's only. So I got this memory that it might be completely wrong. It's either X8 or X9 has the invasion stage, and it's the only one that has it. SmackDown never had the invasion stage. So you had the the Jeff Hardy Rob Van Dam match where you can kick them down into the area, the pit, effectively.
Yeah, that was the one. That was one of the very few matches where Rob Van Dam felt like ECW Rob Van Dam.
Yeah, didn't have too many after that. Oh, they had a great match against Geraldine on Heat.
Yes, he did. But then again, you put RVD and Geraldine in the match,
And it works. It's like
yeah.
it's like Daniels and AJ. You put Michaels and Kurt Angle. You put them in the ring together. They're just magic. And it works.
Yeah. Speaking of Rob Van Dam, he was DLC in the 2K18 game last year. I'm not too sure he'll make it into 19 this year.
No, 'cause I don't know what he's doing these days.
But I don't think he will.
No. So then the GameCube the GameCube as a console lasted 4 years in its generation. And I think so. They did Day of Reckoning, which was the sequel to 19. So I guess they dropped the WrestleMania title and went with their own story of its own. But I seem to recall there was WrestleMania 21 somewhere as well. But I'm now
yeah, that was on the Xbox.
That was an Xbox title, wasn't it? I can just see the
that
case
was a
going.
follow-up to Raw 2. You've just yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Day of
But
Reckoning.
that played exactly like Raw.
Yeah, it's certainly one I didn't buy. I guess that Raw had scarred me to a point where I didn't want to buy another Xbox wrestling game. I can stay with SmackDown, and that was it. That was like the best as you're going to get. So, yeah, I think I stuck with the SmackDown games. I did buy Day of Reckoning, and that was pretty good. Again, it was very WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy-esque with the hold a button to grab, had like hard, light, and harder grabs. So it depends on how long you hold it, in terms of what grab you did. And again, it was very much an arcade style pace as well. It picked up compared to 19 did, and it was good. It was different. Brock Lesnar was the main front cover star, I seem to recall. But I don't recall much of that. I think it actually had the Hell in a Cell. It was full. And I think I saw it had TLC in there as well. Actually, it had TLC that had ladders at different heights as well. It had the small ladders and the big ones.
Do you know? I think we're gonna have to try those out again.
Yeah, we are. So if anyone's up for doing pop on the emulator, we'll do these games for full. Do these games properly. We're gonna perhaps have to do a generation of wrestling games of a console, and we just play them like Xbox or GameCube or PlayStation 2, and we'll just play them for an afternoon and record all the clips and put them all together and make it into a fast action like montage shoot and give our feedback on what we found of the game.
Yeah. To be honest, over all the years, I still think that SmackDown was the one that it gave me the most exciting matches against friends in that.
Yeah, it did.
The matches were. It still had the realism in there, but it still had that arcade pace.
Well, yeah, SmackDown 2 definitely had arcade pace, man.
Oh, they died.
You try pulling off
keep
that.
anybody down.
No, you could throw the guy on the mat. That was it. You ain't hitting him with a swanton bomb or a moonsault.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I think
as it went on, but they'll be up on the feet.
As he got better, he clearly became more sim based. Kind of teased more between arcade, then back towards sim, slowed it up a bit, speeded it up a bit, and I guess it's been trying to find the actual, what actually works. It is surprising we haven't seen other games like the Raw, like the GameCube style, like the WrestleMania X8. They experiment with other versions of wrestling since then, because there now is only the SmackDown since THQ went down south and I guess 2K Games picked it up. They're not willing to do any other wrestling games other than SmackDown as part of its main roster, as main license rather.
Yeah, but they just call it 2K now, don't they?
Yeah, there was.
I mean, it was the SmackDowns, then it was Raw versus SmackDown, and then they just went WWE year,
Yeah.
and then to the THQ, and then it was the J 415.
Yeah, 'cause when did the transition happen? Because I mean, I can remember me and Jay's talking about it quite a bit. Is that when that transition happened between from THQ ending, and it was like, well, we're not really going to get a 2K game
13.
for perhaps not this time round, because I guess Ukes have developed it, but they're not going to have their fingerprints on it. The one after will be the first 2K game. I think that's why 14 felt a bit fresh in mind, because it felt like, oh, this seems new. The new kind of career mode going on with the Attitude Era. It felt like a whole new.
No,
Breath of Life.
Attitude Era was 13. That was THQ's last one.
Yeah, you're right. So you're right. The CM Punk one on the front cover.
Yeah, that's right. And 14 was
Daniel Bryan.
no, Daniel Bryan's never on the cover. It was
Wasn't it?
either The Rock. It was The Rock on 14,
No, the Rock on 14. Yeah.
Senior on 15, Austin on 16, Rollins on 17, Brock on 18, and now it's AJ Styles.
I was surprised they didn't go with Styles and Charlotte Flair.
Yes, yes.
You know, to have the equality
And
thing
that's the
going
thing
on.
they're going to start pushing for. 'Cause I do believe that at WrestleMania next year, I think they may push for the first female main event, and I think they'll go Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair,
Yeah, me too. It'd be Ronda
because
and Charlotte.
that is the two big names. It doesn't get any bigger right now, I believe, in women's wrestling than Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey.
No, so
They're the
if they keep
two
them
that
apart
I think
now.
will main event.
So do you think that means that potentially Ronda will go on to win the Rumble, or even be champion by that point?
I don't know. I mean, Ronda Rousey. It depends on how they go. I mean, Ronda Rousey could just challenge Charlotte. That's it. You don't need to go through all of that. The Raw can win it, and Rousey can be over on SmackDown. If SmackDown ends up being the big show that the WWE might want it to be with this new move to another network.
Yeah, I think she'll be the face. She'll be the face of the company effectively.
Yes. If Ronda keeps getting as good as she has been over the last year or so, we could be in for a real treat, because Charlotte's a natural. Since she found her feet on the main roster, I mean, she was great in NXT. She came onto the main roster, and I felt she was a little bit deer in the headlights. It was all a bit much. And then she found her footing, and then it was like, right, let's get this shit done.
Yeah, I mean last year's WrestleMania was pretty sweet actually. She certainly looked like a star finally.
Yes.
I think she looked like the world champion she's supposed to be. And then there was a whole scene where Ronda's looking up at her, and like, it's fucking hell. Ronda really is quite small compared to Charlotte Flair. And he just like stood over her going, "No, who are you? Fucking you, little pit bull down there." Man, so this has been Wrestle DX Plus Alpha. We hope you've been enjoying us for the ride today, talking about wrestling and gaming all over the shop and going wherever the conversation takes us. So stick with us, and there's more to come in the future soon.